Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company at Watches and Wonders 2025 with Ressence and the founder, Benoit. Benoit, 2 new novelties this year, not one watch, but 2. 2 times 2, we've got 4 to talk about. Let's start with the Type 7.
Okay, good. Type 7 is our first full integrated bracelet watch with a titanium bracelet, titanium case, even titanium dial. So the green parts you see are titanium. It also has oil inside, like some Ressence, not all. And it's a GMT actually.
That's your first GMT?
It is.
So a lot of people are going to be asking, because it's a very sporty format, is this going to be a watch that I can wear in the pool? Can this be swim with?
Sure, it's a waterproof watch.
It's automatic, it's well loomed, it's got 2 time zones. This could be your only watch. So you went with an integrated bracelet, but what's fascinating to me is that for the first time, as I can recall, you now have a fixed bezel on the outside of the Ressence time display.
Yep.
Talk about how that helps to integrate the display with the shape of the case.
Yeah, so the shape of the case is very geometrical, very tool-like. We use a language of forms that is very tool-like. But the Ressence is very organic. So how do you combine those two? Actually by having a kind of bubble, but then you have a curvature, a convex curvature that is coming from the bezel. So the bezel is hollow.
Yes, and that's what I kind of wondered about coming to the show. I'd seen the watch on the internet, but I didn't really know how a circle would integrate into the angularity of like a tonneau-style integrated case. And it actually works quite well because of that bezel acting as the buffer between the 2 conflicting forms. Your background is in industrial design.
Correct.
So you've thought this out to the nth degree. Tell me a little bit about how you chose this finish, because I got to admit, media blast with bevels, that's not something I expect.
It is actually, it's glass pearled. So would you look at it with a microscope, you would see that it looks like a golf ball. So it's very small little, but perfectly spherical holes. And this gives this kind of satinated effect. And then we have polished all the angles. Anyway, there are angles because you don't have sharp angles anyway. And so we also polish them just to give it a little bit more of luxury effect. In the end, it's a very elegant watch, I believe. And so, not to make it too dull, you know, it could have been a tool watch and completely not sparkling. Here I believe that we can add a little bit of spark to the watch by just finishing the edges with the polishing.
Now, I'm always kind of curious with a media blast finish. This is, of course, going to be glass bead blasted. So if this were to be scratched or scuffed, not something that makes a dent with depth or anything significant, but if there were basic wear and tear, does it just get blasted again when it goes back to the factory?
Yeah, you can just re-blast it.
So you don't have to remove material. You can just blast it again.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Now in terms of ergonomics, this is a 41mm watch. Sometimes it's a little bit challenging. If you hear our friends outside here at the Watches and Wonders, it's a fun, kinetic place, so it can be a little bit chaotic. Bear with me. When you're wearing this watch, you know, I'm going to show it on my wrist. It's 41, but I would say it's the rare integrated bracelet watch that doesn't wear 2 sizes larger than its rated size. With a Nautilus, with a Royal Oak, you know, 41 means 42, 43. This is 41 means 41, or maybe even 40. The fit of it is actually exemplary.
It's very common with Ressence watches. They always feel smaller than the number because we don't have anything that sticks out. Normally you have a big crown, here you have some protections. All these things are away. Because we make it integrated. The crown function is on the back with the Ressence, so it feels smaller when it's on the wrist.
It's also important to mention that there are sort of 2 different classes of Ressence watch. We're not talking about the Type 2, which is kind of its own animal, but you've got the watches that are oil-filled and the watches that are not oil-filled.
Correct.
And the ones that are typically are the more upscale. They're near the top of the price spectrum, sort of the top of the pyramid in terms of hierarchy. This is one of the oil-filled examples. Talk about some of the technical advantages that come with this oil-fill.
Yeah.
It doesn't just look cool, right?
Yeah, well, it looks cool, that's nice, but it's more graphically more contrasted, so from a legibility point of view it's a better watch. But certainly, and this is something I even don't understand why watchmaking never did it, because it's a better watch mechanically. The components, because there are 200 components in oil in the Type 7, they all float in the oil. So they're lighter, because relatively lighter, because when I put you in a pool, you will be lighter, Tim. So it's I can turn you on the seat now. So these parts are lighter, relatively, and fully lubricated.
So you don't need to constantly open the module up and service it with lubricants. It's bathed.
Actually, the servicing of the oil side is very, very little. We rarely have to service it because it's so well protected. And don't forget, it's a free running module. There's no tension on it. It's not like between the escapement and the barrel. There's no tension on the gears. So it doesn't suffer. So it has really a lot of advantages to have oil inside. Of course, it's hard to manage.
Of course.
But it's mechanically it's a very, very good watch.
And again, for those who may not know about the Ressence oil-filled watches, temperature is a concern, but it's not really a peril because of the bellows system.
Yeah, so in the Type 7 we have improved the capacity of the bellows. So the range, actually, the temperature range the bellows can accept. We have augmented it quite significantly, actually, and because thanks to that, we don't need a very precise measurement of the temperature. A color is enough. So we just display a color. If it's red, okay, you know it's too warm. If it's blue, you will feel it on your wrist. It's cold. But usually when you wear the watch, it's going to be around 26 degrees. I don't know how much is in Fahrenheit, but that's about the temperature here in the room.
Yeah, multiply by 1.8 and add 32, you're good. Okay, so that's awesome. And it's also worth mentioning that because the oil and the sapphire have the same index of refraction, you can view it seamlessly from any angle.
Yeah, even underwater.
So let's talk now about what makes this your first GMT. Let's talk about the time display. It is a regulator. You have separate hours, minutes, and seconds, but then you have another hour display.
Yep. So that's a 24-hour display that you can change or put in another time by going backwards. So when you set the watch, you can go forward and backward with the Ressence. It has no consequence because when you set the watch, actually you turn the whole movement. The movement is not doing anything; it's just turning on itself. So you can go both ways and going counterclockwise. You will set the time. So every every 5 minutes you will jump an hour.
Now you also have this fantastic little bean that's sort of inserted into the hour display. Tell us what that does.
So that's the temperature indication. Huh? So this is now it's green because it's green, and usually it's green because it's 25 degrees. But it's only an indication of the temperature. Actually, it's a very nice part because it has all the different colors going from red to green to blue, but you only see one part.
And so previously on Ressence watches with oil, there would be a thermometer on the dial.
Yep.
So this is just a way of paring that down and helping to reduce the visual clutter.
Yeah.
Now, an interesting feature of these watches is that they do have a clasp that includes a micro adjustment internally, and you actually just displace it. Now you have the ability to slide and micro size, so you have a fine tuning in there.
Yep.
Otherwise, they are doing things the right way. The removable links are fixed by screws, not pins and sleeves, not something you'd see on a 90s mall watch. So they're doing things the right way. How hard is it when you're designing bracelet and clasp and you're dealing with suppliers, you're trying to get the best ergonomic and technical solution?
Yep.
How do you approach this? Because this is going to be a first for you. You've never done bracelets before.
I never done bracelets, so I had to design it a few times again to make sure that actually the integration between the case and the bracelet was perfect. When you have the watch on your wrist, when you put your fingers on the side, you will feel that it's very, very, very smooth to go from one side to the other. Actually, the sides of the case are not straight because it's tapered, and the sides of the bracelet are straight. So you have to make a very concave and completely three-dimensional shape to go from what looks straight, but it's actually not at all. So if you look at the first two links, they're completely three-dimensionally milled to make sure that you have a perfect fit.
Yeah, there's sort of an inward inflection, like a concave.
Yeah.
And it is very nuanced. It's one of those things that's designed to look simple because it's very complex. So jumping finally into availability and pricing for the Type 7, when can we expect to see these on sale, and what would the retail price be?
I don't know in dollars, but I can give you the price in Swiss francs.
Absolutely.
Without VAT. It's 36,000 Swiss francs ex VAT, translated in dollars with a little bit of taxes. Unfortunately,
which we can't really estimate at this point. But
okay, we'll see where it gets us. And it will be available. We will start delivering the watches end of April.
Very cool. And I'll just add one last little detail right here. If you're wondering how do you set the watch, if you're new to Ressence, The case back is used for both setting and, if you wish, manual winding. It is automatic winding. It's got an ETA base caliber, and it's got about 36 hours of power reserve, so you just wear it every day and it's basically set it and forget it. Now let's jump over to a watch, the Type 9, that feels like a continuation of themes you explored on the Type 8. Talk about the evolution of that style and size.
Okay, so on the Type 9, what we decided was to, actually what you see is that Ressence, even though this looks rather a tool watch, most of our watches don't have a gender. When you look at it, it's not like a man's watch or a women's watch. It's like an iPhone. There's no gender to it. But there is something that is different between man and woman very often, is the size of the wrist. And so you cannot put a 45 millimeter watch on a very small wrist. It doesn't fit. And the other way around, it doesn't work too. So we want to adapt. This is the whole philosophy of the brand. We want to adapt to the user. The user does not have to adapt to us. So we adapted and we made a smaller case, and it's a 39 millimeter case for 39 grams. So it's also a very light watch. So the idea was really to say, okay, how can we reduce the size? And the consequence of that is that the bezel, so the index for the minutes, became the case of the watch, because there was no room anymore when you make it so small.
Okay, so now we've got a watch here. We've got a couple of different colors. I guess this is
colors.
fairly called silver, but what is your terminology?
It's platinum.
Platinum is the color here. Turquoise?
Yes, if you want to. Yep.
And then we have a combination of blue and turquoise. There is some distinction here, though. The blue bezel is actually a ceramic bezel insert, whereas for aesthetic reasons, to match the turquoise dial, we've actually got an anodized aluminum insert over on the Type 7. Now here you can see you've got the traditional Ressence Orbital Convex System, where you have these items revolving relative to the center, but also on their own axis. And it's a much more compact watch, to the point where I actually think once it's on the wrist, you feel like it's a little bit smaller than 39 even.
Yeah, nothing sticks out again.
And if you ever wanted a Ressence dress watch, this is it. It's compact, it's thin, it's wearable by men and women both, and you know, you get into a fun brand full of fun people, so that's part of the advantage of the indies. No, but I always say, like, I buy watches more and more these days based on what I think of the people behind the brands. And there's some incredible things here from big brands, but you know, I'm never going to know Mr. Longa. Whoever he is, if he still exists, he's not going to call me up. No. Walter's long gone, and the family is not going to ring me. So it's one of these deals where I can go into Ressence, I can go into Genus, I can go into Moser, and meet the people behind the brand and get a really good feel. And you know, we've known each other for many years now. That means a lot when you're spending 5 figures in dollars or francs. So where can people find you if they're looking for Ressence watches?
In the US, just on our website, you will find them all.
The website is perfect. Are you on Instagram?
Of course we are. Ressence watches.
And do you accept Bitcoin?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Benoit, thank you so much.
Thank you for your support.